Kawasaki vs 1000 SE Best Motorcycle Review Liquid-Cooled, 16V Inline 4. Ever since its release in 2012, the Kawasaki vs 1000 has hovered under the sports adventure radar, playing second fiddle to the big BHP competition machines like the BMW S1000XR, Ducati Multistrada, and KTM 1290 Super Duke GT. It may not have been big on brute power, or let's face it, have the looks of its suave rivals, but after its major makeover in 2015 it grew to be a wonderful machine to spend time on. Smooth, spacious, fast, comfortable and most importantly, affordable. Equipped with all its bells and whistles, the 2019 vs 1000 SE is BMW and Ducati money, which means the Euros are still the ones to go for if you want the last word in refinement and a dose of superbike twang from your sports adventure bike. But the Kawasaki has always been about big touring thrills for little money, so save yourself a fortune and go for the still well-equipped base model, because once you've stripped away all of that electronic tinsel, it's still a cracker of a motorcycle underneath. This 2019 Kawasaki vs 1000 replaced the 2015 model. For 2020, the vs 1000 was made Euro 4 compliant. There's a large enthusiast scene for the Versys family, with the Vs 1000 forum and the Kawasaki Versys forum offering loads of useful advice and tips. Ride quality and brakes. Taken from the ZX-10 RSE and tweaked for touring work, the Vs 1000 SE's Showa fork and shock damping self-adjusts every millisecond, depending on parameters like road speed, throttle position, lean angle, and thanks to internal stroke sensors, suspension movement, too. Rear preload can be adjusted via the switchgear and ramped up for pillions and luggage, but you'll still need a spanner for the front, not that you'd need to fiddle. Offering the holy trinity of grip, stability and ride quality, the electronic setup is hard to fault in all riding conditions, but it lacks the plush damping control of quality manually adjustable suspension. Ride is on the springy, slightly underdamped side, with the rear end sometimes softening too quickly as you tip into a corner. Engine. A new full ride-by-wire twist grip and electronic throttle valves facilitate cruise control and links into the IMU-backed electronic rider aids. The good news is the throttle is as polished as ever with no nasty jolts at low revs and a nicely weighted twist grip action. The 118 brake horsepower, 1043 cubic centimeters motor itself remains unchanged and like most inline 4s, isn't big on character, but the exhaust and airbox have a nice bark about them when you're ringing the throttle. The Kawasaki doesn't have the same kind of neck-jarring acceleration you get on an BMW S1000XR, or the lazy-geared grunt of the Ducati Multistrada and KTM Super Duke GT twins, but for normal riding and the occasional spirited charge there's more than enough poke to play with. Reliability and build quality. Owners may point to a slight lack of performance in the previous models, but their dependability is never in question. The screen bolts loosen as the bike is being ridden, resulting in the screen self-adjusting on the move, which is suboptimal at 70 miles per hour on the motorway. This would be less of a problem, except that the curvature of the screen distorts your spatial awareness, so you need to be able to see over it. Value versus rivals. One of the charms of the original vs 1000 was its affordability, and while the all-singing SE is big money, the standard machine offers more bang for your buck. Its lack of cornering lights is the easiest way to tell it from the SE. It doesn't have such a tasty electronic spec and sits on conventional KYB suspension, but it still comes with an adjustable screen, LED headlights, cruise control, IMU-controlled TC/ABS and power modes. If you're considering a vs 1000, its rivals are bikes like the KTM 1290 Super Duke GT, BMW S1000XR, and Triumph Tiger Sport. Equipment. Just like the best of its European rivals, the new vs 1000 has lean-sensitive traction/wheelie control and ABS in 4 riding modes: rain, road, sport, and a custom mix and match rider option. The new quickshifter works well under hard engine loads, but is on the slow side at short shifting speeds, and the auto blipper action can often be clunky, with lots of springy play in the gear lever, so it's kinder on the drivetrain to use the clutch and rev match in the normal way. Decent grip from the Bridgestone Sport Touring T31S and the Islands roads means we never trouble the TC or ABS, but the anti-wheelie will gently chime in to tame throttle to the stop, first and second gear getaways.